What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. From the world of Kwaito to the judging panels of reality TV, the South African entertainment industry has been rocked by some of the most intense, personal, and headline-dominating celebrity feuds you can imagine. These aren't just petty arguments, they're windows into the heart of our culture, reflecting everything from media sensationalism to deep-seated social issues. So today, we're counting down the top 10 South African celebrity feuds based on the real research and stories that defined a generation. Make sure you like and subscribe for more deep dives, and let us know in the comments which feud shocked you the most. Let's get into it. Kicking off our list at number 10 is perhaps the greatest lie the South African media ever sold us. The bitter rivalry between pop icons Brenda Fassie and Yvonne Chaka. The narrative was perfect for headlines. In the final years of apartheid, two powerful black women rose to fame simultaneously. Brenda was the rebellious wild child, and Yvonne was the graceful princess. The media framed them as arch-rivals, locked in a battle for the title of the nation's pop queen. It was a compelling story of two forces vying for dominance. But the truth, uncovered by a closer look, reveals a relationship that was far from a bitter feud. How do we know it was fabricated? Yvonne Chaka served as Brenda Fassie's senior bridesmaid at her wedding. A role that signifies a deep and trusting bond, not animosity. After Brenda's tragic death, Yvonne spoke not of a rival, but of a friend, recounting painful but caring interventions about Brenda's well-being. This wasn't a story of hatred. It was one of complex sisterhood and concern. This feud makes our list as a powerful example of how media narratives can completely overshadow reality. At number 9, we have Kuli versus Thusi. A comprehensive review of available sources shows no evidence of any direct conflict, personal or professional, between these two media personalities. So why does everyone think there is one? It's a classic case of mistaken identity and public conflation. Kuli was involved in a past controversy for a derogatory column she wrote on mixed-race women. Thusi, meanwhile, has been a central figure in the broader national conversation on colorism within the industry. The public, seeking to personify this complex debate, inadvertently pitted them against each other as rivals. The only documented rivalry involving either of them is a separate one between Thusi and Bonang Matheba. This alleged beef is a false narrative, a proxy for a much larger conversation, landing it at number 9 for its fascinating insight into how public discourse creates drama where none exists. Coming in at number 8 is the rivalry that defined the conscious era of Kwaito, Zola 7 versus Mandoza. The public narrative positioned them as rivals, a notion fueled by their shared origins from the township of Zola in Soweto and their parallel rise to fame. Both artists made a conscious departure from the genre's early hedonistic themes, choosing instead to infuse their music with powerful social commentary about township life. However, records offer no evidence of a direct personal feud. Instead, they highlight their remarkable similarities. Both expressed an initial dislike for Kwaito because it had no message. Their so-called rivalry was born from a battle for artistic supremacy and ideological influence within the genre, a competition to be the definitive voice of the township. This was a constructive, metaphorical conflict rather than a destructive personal one, a public fabrication based on their parallel paths, earning it the number 8 spot. At number 7, another Kwaito-era misunderstanding. the perceived feud between Mandoza and Brown Dash. This perception intensified after Brown Dash's departure from the prominent TS Records, a label Mandoza was also associated with. This professional split was widely misconstrued by the media and public as a sign of personal animosity between the two artists. But the accounts of those involved directly contradict this. Brown Dash stated his decision to leave was driven by a desire for independence and creativity, not a conflict with Mandoza. In fact, he publicly praised Mandoza as an artist who is still keeping it real. This admiration was reciprocated in a final, poignant moment when Mandoza publicly paid tribute to Brown Dash after his death. This case is a prime example of how a professional dispute with a record label can be completely misread as a personal feud, securing its place at number 7. Breaking into the top half of our list at number 6 is a quintessential modern conflict, DJ Fresh versus poet Ntsiki Mazwai. This feud was born from a social media exchange and resolved in the High Court. The dispute began after Mazwai made a series of public posts on social media accusing DJ Fresh of being a rapist. The accusations were seemingly triggered by an older post from another personality discussing an abusive ex without naming him. DJ Fresh's response was to take legal action. The Johannesburg High Court ruled that Mazwai's claims were unsubstantiated and irresponsible. DJ Fresh framed his lawsuit not as an attempt to silence a victim, but to hold a public figure accountable for spreading false and damaging information. This case highlights the terrifyingly high stakes of digital reputation and defamation in the social media age, making it a landmark feud for the modern era and our number 6 entry. At number 5, we have a feud that exposes the dark underbelly of the music industry. Zahara's protracted and painful battle with her former record label, TS Records, co-owned by DJ Sbu. This was a deeply public legal and financial war over music royalties. Zahara repeatedly claimed the label owed her money from the monumental success of her multi-platinum debut album, Loliwe. DJ Sbu publicly countered, stating that audits from Universal Music showed Zahara actually owed the company money. He defended the label's practices, claiming she was on a generous royalty rate. The tragic core of this story: Zahara stated she could not afford the immense legal fees to take the matter to court. This unresolved financial dispute became a significant part of the tragic conversation surrounding her death, highlighting the systemic power imbalances that plague artists and cementing this feud at number 5. Cracking the top 4 is a feud that shows how personal betrayal can lead to professional execution. Somizi Unathi versus Unathi Nkai. The fallout began as a personal rift following Unathi's divorce from her husband of 13 years. Unathi alleged that their mutual friend Somizi chose her ex-husband's side, distanced himself from her, and even used information she shared in confidence on his reality show. This personal betrayal then turned professional on the set of Idols SA, where they were both judges. Unathi alleges her contract was not renewed because of Somizi's return to the show. She believes her hardline public stance against sexual offenders made her an undesirable colleague for him upon his return from his own abuse allegations. She claims his return contract included a term demanding her removal. This case is a powerful illustration of the intersection of personal relationships, professional power plays, and public discourse on GBV, earning it the number 4 spot. The podium begins with our number 3 feud, the highly emotional and publicly aired toxic relationship between Jub Jub and Kelly Khumalo. This conflict centered on their past romantic relationship and ongoing co-parenting duties. Kelly Khumalo publicly described it as really bad and toxic, alleging Jub Jub introduced her to drugs. The feud exploded onto a national platform when Jub Jub on the podcast and Chill with MacG slandered Khumalo by accusing her of using muthi to steal him from a former lover. The public backlash was severe, but Jub Jub initially refused to retract his statements. His eventual apology was not out of remorse, but professional necessity. Reports indicate his employer, Mohalav, gave him an ultimatum to apologize or be banned. This feud demonstrates how personal history can be weaponized in public and the immense power of new media in controlling narratives, making it our number 3 entry. In the runner-up position, at number 2, is the most significant modern feud in South African pop culture, the legendary hip-hop beef between AKA and Cassper Nyovest. This rivalry followed the classic trajectory, escalating from a seemingly innocuous Twitter exchange in 2014 about who had the biggest song to lyrical jabs in tracks and then to definitive diss tracks, AKA's Composure, and Cassper's brutally personal Dust to Dust. It wasn't confined to music. It involved real-world friction, including allegations of a gun being pulled and AKA admitting to slapping Cassper at a Senton club. Despite a famous public hug that signaled a truce, the narrative was tragically sealed with AKA's murder in February 2023. Cassper later revealed that during their hug, AKA whispered, "Just know I meant everything that I said to you," confirming the competitive spirit never died. This was more than a feud. It was a strategic, brand-building exercise that became a core, tragic part of their legacy and a defining story for a generation of hip-hop fans. It is our undeniable number 2, and now the number 1 feud on our countdown. This isn't a feud between 2 people, but between an artist and an entire system. The number 1 spot goes to the overarching story of exploitation represented by Zahara's battle with the music industry. While her legal dispute with TS Records was a key part of it, this feud transcends a single label or individual. It represents the systemic financial imbalance, lack of transparency, and exploitation that can plague vulnerable artists. Zahara's immense talent brought forth Loliwe, an album that resonated with a nation, yet she stated she lacked the resources to legally fight for the royalties she believed she was owed. This feud is number 1 because of its tragic, unresolved nature and its devastating legacy. It became a central point of discussion after her untimely passing, a somber reminder that financial and legal struggles can cast a long, dark shadow over an artist's life and work. It's a feud that isn't about gossip, but about justice, power, and the very structure of the entertainment business itself, making it the most important and heartbreaking feud on our list. And that's our list of the top 10 South African celebrity feuds. From media fabrications to corporate battles, these conflicts show us that behind the glamour, the entertainment industry is a complex world of power, money, and personal drama. Which feud did we get right? Which one did we miss? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button,